this massive offensive tackle that people were so disheartened in, of course, making a choice for Alabama about a year ago. But here he is as a Hawkeye, and he's coming back home, and I'm sure people are all excited about that.
Oh, yeah, the fan base has definitely changed their tune from what it was a year ago. Crazy how things can flip like that on a 18-year-old, right? 18, 19-year-old. But, yeah, fans are absolutely thrilled to have him, Kaden Proctor, in Iowa City now. He arrived a bit before the announcement came forth, but, and of course, the news was bouncing around with everybody having their sources, but Kaden's in Iowa City, and fans are absolutely thrilled to have him at left tackle, especially with the performance from the Iowa offensive line. Not only last year, but the last several years, particularly at left tackle, a place where that's kind of been that guy's going to the NFL position for Iowa since the turn of the century, but that hasn't been the case with Mason Richmond there at left tackle the last few years. Kaden Proctor, going to be a plug-and-play. I think I heard an ESPN personality, it might have been Greg McElroy, say that Kaden should come in and move to guard. I'm about 99.999% sure that is not going to happen. He's going to be plug and play left tackle, and that even with some of his struggles early on, he's going to be an immediate upgrade there on that left side of the offensive line for Iowa.
So was Greg McElroy also looking out for Kaden Proctor, just thinking he projects better as a guard?
I think so.
To the NFL? Yeah.
Right. I mean, with that said, he was a 5-star offensive tackle, the top tackle in the class in 2023. He's gained a little bit of weight, so maybe that movement, I imagine, isn't quite as quick. But, I mean, we've seen what Iowa's been able to do with a barrage of their players who come in and, well, typically gain a bunch of weight, but you can get that weight off even in an off season. I think Iowa will be better served with him at left tackle. They've got some guys there at guard, but I mean, anybody and everybody's job is up for grabs right now, considering how bad the offensive line has been the last several years. And personally, I think starting with Kaden Proctor as your left tackle is the move for Iowa.
Elliot, I did a little research on this one. You'll know these names in the spans of time. So obviously Xavier Wampa, the safety, is the most recent 5-star, and he was an in-state guy. Then you go back to AJ Epinesa in the 2017 class out of Illinois. He was the previous 5-star. Then I went back, depending on your service, of course, but they line up fairly equal. And you go back 09, 08, 07, and then the rankings and the ratings become a little sketchier as you go back in time. But just the point being, 5-stars don't sign at Iowa. So beyond the just, okay, anytime you can get a 5-star, let's understand that the chances of this player reaching the NFL are exponentially higher. And I get in these arguments all the time with people that say, a 5-star doesn't really matter. Well, yes, there are busts at the 5-star ranking, but they are like a 40-some% chance of playing in the NFL versus like a 12 or 13% chance for a 4-star. But do you think that in addition to just, okay, this is an elite player that we're going to put here, or elite potential player, that there is any periphery ramifications in a negative way, sending messages to other linemen just in terms of the status of the program, if this is going to pay off in addition to just the playing ability?
Well, to me, I don't think that is much of your concern. I think if the offensive line had been good the last several years, then maybe you take that into consideration. But the offensive line hasn't played itself into having that type of pull. Like, I'm okay with, I mean, as somebody who's on the outside watching and, trying to reflect the performance of the fan base and such, I'm okay if Mason Richmond's pissed off. Like, you got a 44 PFF grade, you get that up, yep, maybe we'll take your opinion into consideration. But nah, when you get this opportunity to bring in a guy like Kaden Proctor, that's not a consideration at all. And, to boot, the offense has been atrocious as a whole, but the defense as a whole has been patient the locker room has stayed together, and I think that is reflective of who the guys are in this locker room. They just want the team to be good. And if that means bringing in a guy like Kaden Proctor, who is a 5-star, who will be a plug and play, no matter what anybody says, George Barnett could come to the podium tomorrow and say, well, he's got to earn his spot. That's BS. They'll probably operate as such, but Caden's going to come in and be the best offensive lineman right off the bat. So to me, I don't think you're taking into account egos into this for a variety of reasons, but a big one being that there aren't really a ton of egos in that locker room comparatively to other P5 programs, right? I mean, Jay Higgins, trying to think here, Nick Jackson, Logan Lee is no longer with the program. He's moving on to the NFL, but having leaders like this, it's all about the team, and Caden's going to make the team better. So I don't see a scenario where you really have to factor that in, truthfully.
You can catch Elliott's work there at Rivals on the Iowa platform. Awesome Iowa. There you see it on the banner. Follow Elliott on X as well. It's easy. Elliott Clough with 1 T right there. You see it on the banner. All right, Elliott, in regards to an offensive coordinator, the search continues, and it's been awfully quiet. And of course, these positions are usually filled at this point. So this is a rare, wait into the off season. So where do you think we stand on this?
Well, I can tell you that based on everything that I've learned over the last year, and even, growing up in Iowa, this amount of time it's taken to make the hire is not a surprise at all. It just falls right into the category of how everything has gone offensively in Iowa City for the last decade. By the sounds of it, per a few reports, Christ was the guy, and then he just decided to opt out. For what reason, I don't know. And I don't know that a lot of people know. Kirk Ferentz might be the only one who knows why he decided to opt out. But, you look at it, and the thing that sticks out to me is Kirk willing to take his hands off the offense? That's the thing, because I don't know that Paul Christ would want to be, in effect, helicopter parented. I'm not saying that KF would do that exactly, but Chris may have felt that way. And again, this is just speculation, so I'm not positive as to why he didn't take the position. Maybe he felt like he, deserved more money than they were offering. Who knows? But as far as I'm aware, there are a few guys that have had interviews over the last couple weeks, and it does appear to be moving forward. Whether it's moving forward to the pace of a snail or a rabbit, that's the question. I venture to guess it's going to be somewhere in the snail department. I don't know if this is going to be another 2-3 weeks. I don't know if this is going to happen tomorrow, but it's in the process of getting done. You hope that, fans hope that it's sooner rather than later. I know Iowa has February 3rd, Junior Day, coming up here. For juniors, and obviously a few other recruits coming through at that point in time, and of course spring ball practices really starting to pick up here soon. So I know they're hoping it gets done sooner rather than later.
Elliott, before we let you go, Beth Goetz named permanent athletic director. No big surprise there. Outside of the way she handled the contract controversy with Brian Ferentz, was this something that you felt as though there had been other actions that she had made that showed that she was the right choice?
I think the first one has got to be how she has already embraced, or how quickly she embraced NIL. Brad Heinrichs, the head man at Swarm, fully endorsed this move. She has made so much more headway than Gary Barta ever did. And Gary, I wasn't around for a large portion of his tenure as the AD. I don't necessarily know how he operated fully, but what I've gathered is he was one of the guys that didn't exactly embrace NIL to the degree that you need to now in 2024 in college football. And Beth has fully embraced it. I've seen, they do big things on the big board at football games about Swarm and at basketball games about Swarm. And there are events always, and Beth is fully in support of that. And so that's the number one thing to me. She has a vision towards the future. She's already started plans to help improve Carver Hawkeye Arena because I don't believe it. Well, it was built in the 70s, so it's been a while. They need to get the fans, particularly the students, closer to the floor. By the sounds of it, Beth is making some headway there, and so those are the two big things to me, other than, of course, the Brian Ferentz situation that have shown that she wants the job, she'll be good at the job, and she's been endorsed by not only Brad, but by head coaches across Iowa athletics as well.